Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome all candidates seeking the position of City of New Orleans City Council member for District E. All candidates were invited to participate in tonight's forum. Welcome everyone to the Voters East of the Industrial Canal Public Candidates Forum for the City of New Orleans Council member for District E. A group of concerned voters believe that their voices were not being heard. They also believe that their issues, concerns, and questions were not being addressed within the many PACs, hosted forums, and debates. As a result, Voters East of the Industrial Canal was established in 2011. Voters East of the Industrial Canal is an organization by voters and for voters that provides an open forum where candidates can holistically engage voters, our citizens who are the true decision makers on election day. I'd like to introduce our board of directors. We have Corinne Villavasso, Dawn Aban. Corinne, I want to mention, is the founder of this organization. We have myself, Dawn Aban, who is the chairwoman and co-founder. Marcia McWilliams, Vice Chairwoman, co-founder. Marcia, will you say hi?
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you all for coming to our forum. And I wish all of you very good luck. Thank you.
And we have Ed Bluin, our parliamentarian and co-founder.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. And then I'd like to introduce our active committee members. We have Shawan Bernard.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. So I want to welcome you to our third evening of forums for 2025. Tonight's questions were solicited and submitted by voters who reside east of the Industrial Canal. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderators for the evening for District E Council Member Candidate Forum. They are Monique Horton.
Hi, good evening. My name is Monique Harden again. I'm a lawyer here in New Orleans where I grew up. As a lawyer, I focus on defending the rights of people to a healthy and safe environment in District D, as well as communities in other parts of the country and abroad. Glad to be able to co-moderate this with Kenya Smith.
Yes, so the other moderator is Kenya Smith. Kenya?
Good evening, everyone. Kenya Smith. I'm an attorney and a law professor, but most proudly a proud resident of District E. Glad to be with you all this evening.
Thank you so much. So now I'm going to turn everything over to our moderator, Kenya Smith. Kenya?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a reminder to all of the candidates that this is not a debate. This forum was designed for candidates to speak solely to your platform, vision, qualifications, and record. Responses should focus on what you plan to do, what you've done, and how you intend to lead, not on your opponent's records, abilities, or actions. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin with introduction of the candidates for council member for District E of the City of New Orleans, and we're going to do so in alphabetical order. With all due respect, as the son of a preacher, and someone who's been civically active, please don't take offense. We'll refer to everyone to even the playing field by the title of candidate for purposes of this forum. So as I call your name, please provide us with your full name, your profession, number of years in your profession, and the position that you're seeking. Please give us your strengths, weaknesses, and skill sets, and how you believe they qualify you to effectively serve the City of New Orleans as council member for District E. Please keep your response to 2 minutes, and we'll begin with candidate Richard Bell.
Glad to be here this afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Reverend Richard Bell. I've been a resident of District E for 50 years, raised 3 families in the same house, very active in my community. When they call me, I'm there. You might list me as a politician, but I list myself as a community servant because it's proud to serve the community. By being in District E, there's a lot of things I've seen since Katrina that should have came in our area. It hadn't came in. I play a big role because volunteer, anytime they call me, I'm here. I'm also the president of AmeriCorps with Conservation, handling the elderly. I'm very active in my church as assistant pastor, helping the elderly. And people call me and say they're hungry. I'm going to feed them. I feed them at my own house. I try to feed 3 and 4 families a month. I'm also the vice president of the NAACP for Jefferson Parish, New Orleans, and St. Bernard. I'm a past president of the American Legion of the state of Louisiana, the 4 Black in 200 years to become state president, state commander. I achieve a lot of goals in community service. I'm the past president of the Board of St. Kofa, community, a community verse. I'm also with Justin Beyond. I'm a certified EOC. So I know the concern of discriminations, and being a veteran with 35 years of service in Jackson Parish right here in New Orleans, my concern with the veterans, and also I'm a DSO. I'm a duty service officer, helping with their claim to get their money what they deserve to have. My job is to help the community. That's all I know, helping the community and serving the purpose that I need to serve purpose. I thank you for this opportunity. This really need a lot of work. I believe as a candidate, I could get a lot done because people do know me. They know they could call them in. I'm right there for them.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Well, let me thank you first, Attorney Smith, for moderating, your co-moderator, Attorney Hardin. Let me thank voters east of the Industrial Canal, the co-founders and board for hosting this forum. And let me thank my fellow residents of District E who have stepped up to offer themselves for service. I know the courage that takes, and I look forward to spending the next several months on the campaign trail alongside each of you. I'm Jason Hughes. I am a lifelong resident of District E, born in District E at Methodist Hospital, raised in District E. I am the proud son of a letter carrier and a state civil servant. Spent the first 2 years of my life living in the Goose. And then when my parents realized the American dream and purchased their first home, I spent most of my young years being raised in Kingswood. I've also been educated here in District E, beginning at Peralt's Kitty College by New Orleans East resident, the legendary Dorothy Peralt, Mildred Clementine Osborne for kindergarten through 8th grade. Many of my teachers and my former principal, Dr. Valencia Douglas, still live here. McDonough 35, and received my bachelor's degree from Southern University at Baton Rouge. I was reared here. I played baseball and ran track at Goretti Park. I worship here. I'm a proud member of Franklin Avenue Baptist Church under the leadership of my pastor, Fred Luter Jr., and I am District E proud. I am running for this office because the community has asked me to run. After serving you honorably for the past 6 years as a member of the Louisiana House of Representatives, where I currently serve as vice chair of the Powerful Appropriations Committee, only the second Black person to hold that role since 1812. I also serve as House Minority Whip and chair of the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus. I have a reputation of getting things done. I have appropriated millions of dollars to this community. I'm running because enough is enough. I've heard you, community. You want no more false promises, but results. And I have a record of delivering results. I look forward to answering your questions tonight and delving deeper into the issues. And I'm so proud to offer myself to the residents of District E.
Thank you so much. Candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Yes, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? Yes, my name is Nathaniel Jones, resident of District E. I am a graduate of Warren Easton High School and also a graduate of LSU. I'm a local sub-teacher here in the area. I'm geared toward the young people a lot. I spend a lot of time with our youth and trying to upbuild them for the future. I'm also a 10-year Uber driver, been driving rideshare since 2015. So I've been to every street, every neighborhood. I know every pothole in the city, especially the East. So it's my pleasure to run for District E. I love the residents. Like all the other candidates have said, you know, enough is enough. We need leadership to bring New Orleans East back to its former glory. Everyone together to have all hands on deck. And I believe that I'm geared towards helping the young people get into politics and to have their voices heard as well. So my focus is young people in the community and also bringing economic development to New Orleans East.
Thank you so much. Candidate Willie Morgan.
Good afternoon. I want to personally thank you guys for having me today. I want to thank our moderators. And then I also want to thank you, voters east of the Industrial Canal, for inviting me to this forum this afternoon. My name is Willie Morgan. I'm running for City Council, District E, because this is my neighborhood. I live here, I work here, and this is where I grew up. I'm from the Lower 9, where I recently purchased my first home in November. I'm also in education. I am the dean of students at a local high school here in New Orleans, all for Bullard. So my daily commute is from the Lower 9 to New Orleans East and vice versa. So I see every end of our district on a daily basis. I'm running because, like many of my candidates have said, I too believe that it's time for change. 20 years after Katrina, it's time that we do fulfill the vision that is District E. I know what our community can be. I believe in it. I know many of my residents, many people that I had the opportunity to meet since I announced my candidacy feel the same way. And I think now is the time. Thank you. And I'm grateful for having me here today.
Thank you so much. Candidate Cindy Nguyen.
Thank you for that, Kenya. Good evening to everybody, to the members of the Voters East of the Industrial Canal, and to the voters and residents of District E. Thank you for joining this engagement. And for some of our new residents that move into the district for the past 4 years, I want to welcome you to District E. My name is Cindy Nguyen, and I serve as a council member for District E from 2018 to 2021. During my time in office, I was accessible. People were able to touch me and connect with me. I was very transparent. I had a proven record of getting things done. Whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do it. I was very accountable to everybody from the East to the Lower 9 to Lake Catherine, Venetian Out, and Fort Pipe. I created many innovative initiatives to address issues in our community. You know what I believe, Kenya? I believe the impossible is possible for District E. I worked very hard every day, and I love engaging and connecting with the people in our district. I am a problem solver. I'm about getting things done, boots on the ground. I was always in the community, tackling the issue with the people and not hiding from it. I've been battle tested. During the time I was in office, it was the toughest 4 years. We faced the cyber attack. We faced COVID-19 and Hurricane Ida. We were there to support the people of District E. And I'm committed to continue the work. I ask for your support in bringing me back. We have many unfinished businesses. We have the Lincoln Beach business, the projects that we need to continue, the project in the Lower 9 Richard Lee Playground, many projects that I want to continue to do. So I'm asking for your support in bringing me back. Again, my name is Cindy Nguyen. I am a candidate for District E, and I look forward to the engagement as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Good evening. Thank you, voters of the Industrial Canal, for putting this together, making sure that our voices are heard inside the community, and continuing to push for civil engagement. My name is Jonathan Anthony Roberts. I'm not a politician. I'm a neighbor. I'm a brother. I'm a father. I'm a resident of New Orleans, born and raised. Service member, Marine of 21 years. And I know what it means to serve. I was here during Katrina. Like many families, my family could not evacuate. We was here at the Superdome. I was home on leave. I packed up my sea bag. I put my uniform on and I volunteered to be with community, to be with family, to serve with dignity, and stand next to family and friends to get them through tough times. The The community far too long has been in survival mode, which is heartbreaking. We are at a breaking point where we got to stop surviving and we got to be given the opportunity to thrive. As the future council member of District E, that is my ambitions and my goals: to put families first, to put youth first, to make mental health a priority, and to fix our infrastructure. That's why I'm here. I believe showing up matters, and that's why I'm here today. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. And last but not least, candidate Gavin Richard.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Brother Smith, Ms. Harden, and everyone here from Voters East of the Industrial Canal. It's a pleasure to be with you all, and thank you again for this opportunity. I am a child of New Orleans, but in particular, I am a child of District E. And I'm also could say I'm a grandchild of District E because I grew up in the New Orleans East area off of Crowder Boulevard. But my grandparents, my mother's side of the family, they grew up on Delaware Street in the Lower Ninth Ward, not that far from Patton's Hot Sausage. And I still think about that because I have fond memories of that as a kid. I was a graduate of St. Augustine High School class of 2004, graduate of Southern University in Baton Rouge in 2008, and Southern University Law Center in 2014. I've been a practicing attorney for over 10 years now. And I've also currently I work as a public defender for 3 years in the St. Tammany Parish area. And virtually why I'm running is because we need a new blood, new voice for a new generation. It's time that, especially for our younger folks and people of my generation, that we help develop New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward. And this goes beyond just the 20 years of after Katrina. We're talking about even sometime prior to that when we noticed changes from stores that were closing one by one, from Sears, Mervyn's, Dillard's. I go all the way back to that period. I remember when we had thriving grocery stores like Del Champs and Saver Center and Schwegmans and also Canal Villery and things of that nature. And it is unfortunate and sad that we have very few businesses in District E and New Orleans East. That Lower Ninth Ward doesn't have grocery stores. I look at areas like Slidell, which do not have the population of New Orleans East of at least 28,000 people, but yet they have an outlet mall, they have restaurants, they have a movie theater, and we have 75,000 people in our area, and I think it's just time. My weakness, and I'll wrap it up, while I may not be a career politician, that's what gives me an edge. And I believe that I would be the best candidate for District E. Thank you.
Thank you. Moderator Harden, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kenya. Well, good evening, candidates for City Council District D. You will each have 1 minute to answer each of the questions we have for you this evening. The first group of questions will focus on multifamily housing and capital projects. And the first question will start with candidate Gavin Richard. Voters are concerned about infrastructure, density, and transparency regarding existing and proposed developments. What is your position on additional multifamily housing developments in New Orleans East? 1 minute, please.
All right, sure, I'll be a minute. My position on that is I understand why people may be concerned. I know especially in the 90s and 2000s, there were people that were concerned. I remember hearing this as a kid. People were concerned about Section 8 housing coming into the area. We have to be mindful, of course, that all people, regardless of their income, are people. And while there may be some concerns of the infrastructure, and I can understand why there are people that may have concerns, they think things will affect their community, we also want to be a welcoming community to those that come here. Now, of course, there can be, I won't say restrictions on things, but I believe obviously monitoring about when we say what type of infrastructure. It depends on what are you exactly saying as far as the infrastructure. How many people, what are we talking about as far as population size, occupation, where it's going to be? I think that would be a concern for that. I think that those issues have to be addressed when we go into the development of such areas. But I think when we do that, we also need to also develop even a stronger base, particularly with our businesses. That way that those businesses, those areas are not
Time.
by that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts. Let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Please repeat the question.
Sure. What is your position on additional multifamily housing developments in New Orleans East?
Thank you for that question. One, I support additional multifamily housing inside of New Orleans East or District E. So from the east to the Lower Ninth Ward. Housing, we believe, my campaign and we believe that housing is a right, and it should never have to be a struggle for people to find affordable housing. Everyone doesn't necessarily want to be a homeowner. While that sounds amazing and beautiful in the world, multifamily homes is a way to affordable multifamily homes is a way to provide those who are not in the mindset of being a homeowner to have a reliable housing where they're not deciding if they're going to buy groceries or pay their rent. As we establish more multifamily homes, it can't come at a sacrifice to the community. And what I mean by that is the East and the Lower Ninth Ward is a beautiful place. Tons of wildlife, tons of scenery. And as we're building and growing, and I'll wrap it up short, we have to take into account the impact that it has on families that are already in those areas and not relocating people to build additional multifamily homes or destroying our environment to do so.
Thank you. Candidate Cindy Nguyen.
Thank you for that question, Monique. And so for my thoughts in reference to multifamily, so when I was in office in 2018, I looked at the data. 33% of the low-income voucher is in the East compared to other districts. So as we are trying to revitalize, rebuild our community, I believe that we need to look at multi-housing as an equity lens, making sure like it's equal in all districts. But it's not just about providing housing, it's providing services in those development, right? And making sure that property management are providing the service for the resident in those apartments. Right now, we have a number of multi-housing that is for sale in the East right now. We also know that a lot of these multi-housing has been deplorable, meaning that the condition of these homes, these units, have not been safe for our families to live in. And so to me, it's not about just providing housing, it's about providing quality housing. We also recognize that we have a large, I want to respect the time, so I'll go ahead and pause there. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Willie Morgan.
Thank you for that question. In response, I'm not against multi-housing. I am for strategic planning and planning with the voice of the community in mind. As someone who was a renter for the majority part of my adult life in New Orleans East, I rented an apartment off of Bullet in the Service Road. I rented an apartment off of Morrison and Martin. And I personally know that we have an issue where we have apartments that maybe where we can afford it, but it's not livable. And that should not be. No one should have to choose to live in slum areas because they can't afford decent housing, right? That should be a given. So I definitely would focus on providing those housing for people in the East, especially people like myself. I was young, I was fresh out of college. My income was not at the time where I can afford a home, right? It took years for me to get to the point where I was able to save up my down payment and buy my first home. And everyone is not at that level. So we have to meet them where they are. And that will look like having multifamily homes that will look like the model, the Eat, Play, and Live model, where you can live in your community, you eat your meal, you can work in your community.
Thank you. Candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Yes, thank you for having me. Well, as a student of architecture, I would definitely recommend building new structures in New Orleans East. Something that's modern and current and safe for the residents. Of course, the city has programs where we can help people long term to stay in New Orleans, especially considering the fact that by the year 2050, climate change will affect the coastal areas. So we have to find creative ways to make people stay in New Orleans East long term. And we have some apartment complexes that have empty units. So maybe work with some of those apartment owners and try to furbish up those empty units to give to families that are in need. We can have new structures built, and we can also utilize current structures that can use a facelift, so to speak, so that our residents can have something affordable, not just 5, 10 years from now, but 25, 50 years long term.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Thank you, Attorney Harden. Let me just say, I have been on record that I believe everyone deserves a clean and affordable and updated place to live. That's why I was proud to partner with Helena Moreno and JP Morrell and actually pass the constitutional amendment that holds slumlords accountable. The Willards became the poster child for that. As the former chairman of the New Orleans City Planning Commission, I also understand that we must honor the voices of residents that live in a particular community. Let me just say, New Orleans East has more multifamily mega complexes than anywhere currently in the city. And so as the councilperson for District E, I want to be clear, honest, transparent, and explicit. I will not support any zoning change to rezone commercial property or industrial property to multifamily. What I would like to do is work with landlords that are committed to doing the right thing and leveraging the city's housing trust fund to bring what we have up to code. We do not need to build any more multifamily housing complexes in New Orleans East right now before we bring up to code what we have. And that's why I'm committed to beefing up code enforcement, holding slumlords accountable, and leveraging the housing trust fund.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Bell.
Good afternoon. Affordable housing is a must. But before bringing affordable housing, we have to get business back. Because to get people in the area and you ain't got business where they're gonna shop, I mean, they'll move out. So affordable housing, they need to bring the program back to help first homeowners. The city had it where they'll go to the bank and try to get $25,000 grant where they won't have to pay it back to help them move in. And sometimes it go up to $50,000 grant. The program needs to be implanted back through City Hall. We have to get all council aboard to get these programs, get the banks to back these people that get in the houses. Because a lot of time people having hardship trying to buy a house. I've never forgiven, I bought mine in '77. The VA have a program, VA FHA. We need to bring that back to help the veterans to get into the housing. And when they get into the housing, you need some kind of business where they could go, because my money going in St. Bernard Parish, going in Jefferson Parish. So you have to have a structure where they could shop and where they could raise their kids. You got to have the schools. If you ain't got these things in place, people look at where their kids going to go to school at. Do you have schools for them? Do you have shopping centers? So when you get that established, then affordable housing, when they move in house, you got somewhere to shop. You move into an area, you ain't got nowhere to shop. It don't make sense.
Thank you. Now, while the city administration oversees procurement and contracting, city council members are responsible for oversight, especially when it comes to ensuring that capital projects align with both the approved budget and community priorities. Here's the question. As the council member for District E, what quality assurance and quality control measures would you advocate for to ensure that capital projects in the district are delivered on time, within budget, as promised, and in a way that reflects community needs and expectations? We'll start with candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Okay, thank you. First, you will have to have a committee to oversee how every dollar is spent with regards to the programs in the city, and make sure that every contractor is not having shortcuts or misspending funds to get things done. We have to have weekly oversight to make sure that projects are getting done, and to see that the residents are getting the services they need. So I would say constant oversight. Daily might be too much, but weekly, end of the week, maybe check and see how those funds are being spent, and to see if they're spent wisely, and to make sure that the tax dollars of the residents are being spent wisely.
Thank you. Candidate Willie Morgan, let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Yes, would you?
Sure. As the council member for District D, what quality assurance and quality control measures would you advocate for to ensure that capital projects in the district are delivered on time, within budget, as promised, and in a way that reflects community needs and expectations?
Thank you. In response, we have to restore trust, community trust in our local government here in Orleans Parish. When I think about the projects that even here in the lower 9, community members are fighting the grain train. That's a project that has been forced upon the citizens in this area. That should not be, right? Projects should involve the voices of the community that we're here to serve. So we need checks and balances where we are being accountable for what's going on from beginning to end. So I definitely would like to develop a plan that we can oversight and review these things on a weekly basis to make sure that we are headed in the right direction.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Well, thank you, Attorney Harding. One of the greatest responsibilities that the City Council has is its oversight responsibility. And I know that firsthand, being a legislator in Baton Rouge, and the City Council is the legislative branch of municipal government. I have a record of working with cabinet secretaries in Baton Rouge, but also holding those departments accountable. And I will do the same thing as a member of the New Orleans City Council. I will advocate to be a member of the Public Works Committee, and we must use our oversight authority very seriously to ensure transparency. You know, Lincoln Beach, Attorney Harding, Attorney Smith, is a great example of a project that was promised to our people that is not on time. It was promised by December 2025, and now the can has been kicked to 2026, and the project has been anything but transparent. A lot of the money is going to design and consultants, and before you know it, the project is going to be bankrupt. Government works best when we all work together, and so I will work with our mayor. I will also urge our council president and vice president in month 1 to call an oversight hearing of Lincoln Beach to get that project back on track, give transparency to the voters, and get that project over the finish line.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from candidates Cindy Nguyen, please.
Thank you, and good evening again. So when I was in council, I chaired the economic development. And basically, through the economic development, we introduced DBE. So when we talk about contracting, we also got to make sure that our disadvantaged business enterprise are getting the share of the contract. In addition to that, through budgeting, I also sat on the budget committee, making sure that there's oversight in reference to department spending. But if you guys remember, during COVID-19, many of the projects kind of like stand still. And what we learned during COVID-19 was that many contractors receive multiple contracts at the same time. And so what they would do is they would do one, start one, stop, do another one, stop, and then do another one. So what we did as a council when I was in office, we introduced an ordinance to make sure that the city is not issuing contracts, multiple contracts to the same contractor where it could cause a delay. I've worked side by side with the community, with the department head, with the administration to ensure that projects that were in our district during the time that I was in office were moving along.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Bell.
Okay, I will make sure that all the district be fairly recommended with fund. A lot of people take the funds and put it other place than put it with the project it belongs. I would not allow lobbyists to come in my office and offer me grant money to get their project, because the lobbyists want something, you got to get some in return. So I will not deal with the lobbyists. I will deal with my committee to try to make sure the city is fair across the board on what I need for District E. I will make sure that money is not spent wrong or thrown to another project. I will make sure that the money that comes for that project is for that project. And I will keep the lobbyists out my business, because the lobbyists a lot of time offer people money and officials take it. And when they take it, the community suffer behind it because it never get done. We fighting the industrial canal lots trying to get moved. We fighting the freeway because a lot of officials okayed it, but never touched with the community to see how we feel about it. So we
Candidate Bell, you went a little over time, so we had to mute you. We just want to stay on schedule here, but I appreciate your response and your answer. We're going to go next to candidate Jonathan Roberts. And I'm sorry, it's Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Thank you for that. So to answer the question, accountability, transparency, and collaboration. And I'm going to start with collaboration, because we should not be making any decisions without family and youth first. So making sure that we have the right people at the table whenever we're deciding on where our taxpayer dollars are going to be spent. I'm going to go with transparency next. We need a forward, outward-facing dashboard that shows in real time how money being spent, time and expectations for things for it to be time and expectations of completion. And last is accountability. We got to hold systems and leaders accountable when they're not fitting the needs of the people. Far too long, we have lived inside of a process where leaders and processes have not been held accountable when they're failing the people. If it's failing the people, then we should really look at it and fix it in a moment, stop there, adjust if need be, with the right people at the table and transparency.
Thank you. And candidate Gavin Richard.
Yes, I would say, first off, I would surround myself with a committee of strong individuals, especially in District E, which would equal to transparency. That would be something that I would do when in regards to any projects or developments that are supposed to come to District E. The other thing is standing up to those even higher in power. You know, we have checks and balances in our system. Staying in the mayor's ear is one thing. We had, I remember a few years ago when Bobby Jindal, former governor of Louisiana, was governor, money that was earmarked to go to the lower ninth ward to redevelop it, and it ended up going to the Superdome. That cannot happen anymore. We can't allow monies that's supposed to go to our areas go to other places that don't need it. We have to be accountable. The government has to be accountable to the people, and we can't allow anyone, especially someone from governors out of state, to do stuff in our state to do something like that. But that's how we build a community, especially a large community like the District E, to get them together. And I'll surrender my time.
Thank you. A related question, some of you addressed aspects of contracting and specific projects. We're going to just drill a little deeper on that one. And here's the question, and we're going to start with candidate Richard Bell, but first the question. How would you provide oversight to ensure transparency and accountability, and to prevent consultants and contractors from taking advantage of cost overruns and time extensions to unjustly enrich themselves in contracts for capital projects? Candidate Richard Bell, please.
Well, first of all, I would do, I believe in an audit, to audit everything, to make sure that when the auditor team find out exactly what's going on, and making sure that whatever project we have, the money is there, and that is not leaning to another project. So when you get an independent auditor, they're gonna fill out everything to let you know exactly what that money gonna go at, how much you're gonna spend. Then you give it to the city, give it to the city council. And this is our proposal. But like I go back, people got to get the lobbyists out their business. That's what's destroying the whole city. That's destroying the district. The lobbyist controlling the officials on what to do. You got to, if you're going to be a council person, you got to make sure you got the right people in your frame that are going to get something done. So yes, I would get an auditor team first.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes, please.
Thank you, Attorney Hardin. As I, stated in my previous answer, we live in a system of checks and balances, and as the legislative branch of municipal government, one of the greatest responsibilities that the City Council has is its oversight responsibility. The committee structure exists for a reason, and it's imperative that the City Council use its committee powers to achieve oversight. I'm actually very proud of this current City Council and their oversight that they have led. To uncover important questions and answers that have led to transparency. I gave you a great example about Lincoln Beach. Lincoln Beach is a great example of a project that has been promised to the people, that has been given a budget, and now consultants have come to the city time and time again asking for $1 million here, $2 million there, $6 million there. Before you know it, before anybody has had a chance to lay on the beach and sunbathe, the project will be bankrupt. That is grossly unacceptable. As the council person for District E, I will guarantee and ensure transparency and accountability for projects by using our oversight authority.
Thank you. Candidate Nathaniel Jones. Oh, you.
Okay, there I go. All right. Well, one thing I'll do is I'll have a committee, as mentioned, for transparency. When you have those contracts with those contractors, make sure you have a contract clause which says, if it's any foul play, then we'll cancel those contracts. And with the committee that I would have them check every 7 days to make sure that every penny, nickel, dime, and quarter, and dollar is spent wisely. And if there's any discrepancy, we'll have to do business with a different contractor. And I will also personally, as a councilman, look at these documents myself because, I love to read, and just to make sure that everything's done meticulously and to ensure accountability on all sides.
Thank you. Candidate Willie Morgan.
Yes, ma'am. Again, as I stated, we have to restore community trust. I think that's one of the key things I'm hearing when I'm out in community speaking with our citizens here in District E. I believe that we should implement mandatory public disclosures, right? Where we and the public are keeping track of what's going on, what's being spent, and where it's going, so that we are aware of what our public dollars are spent on, and that our community is benefiting from it. Definitely working with the community. I think the community should be involved in the community oversight board. It shouldn't just be the politicians in the room. It should be the people that it affect daily, right? I think myself, being in District E, I oftentimes feel overlooked, and I don't want that to continue. So under my term, I would include the public in that, and then we will commit a community oversight board where us and the public are making sure that our tax dollars are being spent where they're supposed to be spent and spent how they should be spent.
Candidate Cindy Nguyen.
Yes, thank you for that, Monique. I just wanted to say that when I was in office in 2018, I really believed that we put trust back into government for District E. I was very transparent. I was open to engaging the people. I was very accountable. And so when I was in office, and I left with investment into many projects in which my hope and desire is to get back in and follow up and get a full understanding where these projects that I supported and put money in. So like Lincoln Beach, like the former Six Flags site, we selected a vendor to help develop the Six Flags site, the Richard Lee Playground in the Low Nine, where the community spent time designing, and we put money there, street repairs, light repairs. So I want to get a full understanding of where we at with all the departments. Then of course, through our legislative branch, oversight duties, through our budget committee, we're making sure that every contract is on par. And again, we were very open about what was happening in City Hall with the people in District E, and I will continue to do so.
Thank you. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Thank you. Most importantly, I'll make sure our residents have a voice in capital planning decisions through community forums, through participatory budgets, through neighbors should be able to decide what they want built, where they want it built, and when they want it built. Not just our developers, not just department heads, community first. So families, youth, community first. So I'll start there. Secondly, accountability. How much money is going to take? How much money is being spent? If it's gone over budget, the community should know that up front. And that comes with oversight. That comes with transparency, and that comes with honesty. The minute that we can be honest with our voters of District E, they'll have faith in leadership. Their voices are loud and they're heard, and they want change now.
Thank you. Candidate Gavin Richard.
All right, thank you for your question again. Again, this is a movement for the people, by the people, and I would definitely have a committee oversight with the people from our neighborhood to look at this, to look at these budgets and oversights and these contracts. Contract law when I was in law school was actually probably my favorite course. So I have no problem looking at contracts and taking a look at those and having even some professional friends and attorneys even looking at some of these contracts to go over and look so that our community, our neighborhood is not left on the negative side of that. We have to have oversight and accountability when it regards to giving contracts out for developments and so forth, and make sure that it is giving back to our community. And how we do that, of course, the transparency. I would be holding probably bi-weekly or monthly meetings, especially with my committee and with the public of this area, so that they can have an understanding of what's going on, because they do need to know up front about what's happening there. They do need to know up front how much money is being spent and what's over budget and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to co-moderator Kenya Smith for the next topic of discussion.
Thank you. We'll now turn to do a slightly deeper dive in economic development and business retention. New Orleans East has experienced more business closures and relocations than new openings, even as national trends show growth in business and job centers. Even neighboring parishes are attracting investment through reprogramming efforts, with some businesses choosing to relocate or expand outside of Orleans Parish altogether. Meanwhile, District East population is growing, not declining, and now represents approximately 21% of the city's total population. If elected, what specific funding strategies will you implement to support business retention, attract new job centers, and stabilize economic development in New Orleans East? We'll start with candidate Jason Hughes.
Well, thank you, Attorney Smith. The first thing I will do as the councilperson for District E is actually be an ambassador. I will be the chief ambassador for District E. All too often, I hear many people giving false narratives about District E, that we are a high crime area, when in fact we are one of the safest places in the city. And that is in large part and thanks to former Chief Michelle Woodfork and the hardworking women and men of the 7th District NOPD. We have many great strengths in District E, and we have to advertise and leverage those strengths. We've been very punitive when it comes to blight of homeowners, but we have given commercial trespassers a pass. And so I will hold commercial blight. That is a hallmark of my priority list. I will leverage the capital budget within the city budget to go after commercial blight within District E. That out the gate will change the image of District E. But you're right, Attorney Smith, we're losing yet another business. CVS announced on Reed that it will be closing. But thankfully, we have independent pharmacies like Community Choice and H&W that's ready to step up. And so being the chief ambassador is the first step that I will take.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Okay, thank you, Kenya. Well, specifically, what I would do is I would build a shopping center. Let me repeat that. I would build a shopping center for New Orleans East. I think we need one. We have a lot of businesses in the East that can reside or do business within the shopping mall under the right circumstances. Once we get crime to a manageable level, why not start designing and developing a shopping mall? We can keep those tax dollars in New Orleans East. We can fix our streets like Lake Forest and Morrison. So economically speaking, I think a shopping center, because I love to shop just like everybody else. Specifically, a shopping center will be a starting point for all of us for the future of New Orleans East.
Thank you, candidate Willie Morgan.
Thank you, Attorney Smith. In response to that question, that's because New Orleans East isn't being left behind because of lack of people, but because of the lack of intentional investment in the area. We have many people that live in New Orleans East that commutes to Slidell or Chalmette to do shopping and basic needs when that should not be. It should be right in our community. But we have been in the area where our government has been intentional about not investing in our neighborhoods, and we have to change that. We have to fight for the investment that we need. I definitely will continue to build on the work that our current councilman has done with the cultural zone in New Orleans East, in hopes of bringing funding to the area so that we can redevelop those communities. I definitely would focus on supporting local entrepreneurs. Right, we have a lot of local homegrown New Orleans East entrepreneurs in the area that wants to work in the area, that wants to build in our area, but they need the support from our local government, and that's definitely the support that I will give them once in office.
Thank you, candidate Cindy Nguyen.
You know, when we were in office, we inherited a district that was untouched since Katrina. So in 2018, despite COVID-19, despite Hurricane Ida, we were able to do blight remediation. So at the time that I was in office, we had 139 properties demolished. We held 1,005 properties to code enforcement, making sure that they are taking care of their property. But if you drive around the district, you see that the former Caveman Hotel, right, is now has been remediated. It is now the high-rise apartment. Again, another blighted property that we worked on to beautify our community. In order for people to invest in our district, we have to position our district to welcome investment. The Lake Forest Senior Manor is no longer a blighted property. We worked on that, and we want to thank the owner of those two properties to work with us. However, bringing in economic development. I have two strategies in reference to, and really briefly, create a district think tank. Let's groom our small boxes to be big boxes and look at strategy on how that we can bring commercial development into District E.
Thank you so much. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Thank you. So my first approach is I'm currently taking action on this. I'm a boots on the ground type of person. I did work today in the East with my daughter and my nephew. We did work re-beautification of an area out here in the East. But in District E, we need to create growth that works for us. That's investing in our infrastructure, our roads, drainage, utilities, to make sure that we can bring businesses back to the East. So businesses want to come to the East and they want to come to the Lower Ninth Ward. I would streamline and cut out red tape that slow business and development down, but not in a way that's going to sacrifice current families and residents or jeopardize our current environment. So taking the community into consideration and taking the environment into consideration. I will partner with local developers, HBCUs, trade programs to create business corridors and of course pipelines for our youth so we can also continue to grow in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gavin Richard.
Okay. I'm sorry, there's some big noise in the background I couldn't hear. Okay. Basically, I would be an advocate, and that's already my job as an attorney is to advocate. It doesn't hurt to ask. I would reach out to many of these private businesses. For instance, the interim CEO of Kroger's, they had a deal with Albertsons that didn't go through. They say they want to still expand grocery stores. Well, guess what? There's plenty of space here in New Orleans East and even in the Lower Ninth Ward, because God knows the Lower Ninth Ward needs a grocery store. The need and desire is there. This is an area, keep in mind, that is 40% of New Orleans East New Orleans' tax base. We are the largest tax base in the city. In just 2012, I believe our numbers were when property and sales tax was about 240 or 270 million. So the desire to actually have businesses like a shopping center, like retail outlets are there. We're going to other parishes and making them rich and not putting it back in our community is a problem. I would try and work with making this a cultural district to get grants. Also, yes, we want to support our local businesses and entrepreneurs, and that's how we rebuild New Orleans East.
Thank you. And candidate Richard Bell.
Okay, the first thing I would do is get job one to come in the St. Chairs building to educate the youth that's coming out of high school and the ones in high school to get them trained on job wise. The people tried at St. Maurice Village that they didn't have transportation. I got with RTA. It took 2 years, but that bus line run from across the canal, and we expanded more running St. Bernard Parish. So since we don't have the resource in the Lower Nine, they could travel to Walmart and get back on the bus. Where I see the need is that you got to sell your product. You got to sell your economic to the people that want to come in the area. But you also got to have the community involvement. A lot of guys have bull wags. They could cut this grass, but nobody gives them the opportunity to get a contract with them to keep the grass cut. I would make sure that half of my salary every month will go to an emergency district hardship fund.
Thank you so much. Just before I turn it over to co-moderator Harden, just a quick announcement that the live poll should now be open and will close at the end of this forum. Viewers will be able to, and they should be able to now begin rating each candidate's performance using the link that's just been provided via the chat. Poll results will be shared at the end of the forum and posted on the ViaTech social media platforms. And with that, co-moderator Harden, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So I'm going to focus on the Port of New Orleans in the next question. And the first person I'm going to go to will be candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts. Question. What is your vision for the Port of New Orleans? Can you speak to any current plans you may be aware of or new initiatives you would champion as council member of District E?
For the Port of New Orleans area, I don't have a specific plan in mind, but my plan would be crafted and built with families, working families. It will be built with our youth in mind. As we talk about economic development and economic growth, a lot of times I feel that the thought process is not put into the ability to create a business inside of a person's head, because that is where the economic development and growth starts. So investing in our youth and what do they need, what do they want, what do they want to see in the Port of New Orleans area? How can we best put something, develop that area where it emphasizes family first, it emphasizes our youth, and it emphasizes public safety and public health. That's my thought process for the Port of New Orleans, collaborating with family and working families and the youth to develop that area to the best of its ability.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Gavin. I'm sorry, Gavin Richard.
Gavin Richard.
Richard, even better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that education.
All right, thank you. I think if you could, working with the Port of New Orleans, with the community again, having committee oversight, that would certainly be one thing that I would be doing, working directly with them. You know, we have to have accountability within our city government, we have to have transparency with our people in order to store fidelity with them. So especially when New Orleans, this was the center of this is the center of the mouth of the Mississippi River flows through here. So there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of business that comes through here that we have to work with and, of course, get a part of. And so I certainly would support any type of business, any type of economic development when it comes to the Port of New Orleans and working with them and working with our community specifically and staying also with our local leaders and so forth on that.
Thank you. Candidate Cindy Nguyen.
Yeah, the Port of New Orleans brings, of course, buku of jobs in our city, right? From all sorts of logistics. I believe there is a lift project that they are working on that could create more additional jobs. But one of the things that the port is connected to is to the Low Nine. I think earlier one of the candidates mentioned about the grain project. For me is for our Port of New Orleans to be more of a friend to our neighbors. And just like when we have the PPP for the public participation, when we're looking at zoning, I also feel like there needs to be some sort of public engagement when companies or big organizations that are next door to our neighborhoods have some sort of engagement and sharing to let our neighbors like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. How can we be partners? And I think the port plays a major role, of course, creating jobs for our whole entire city. But it also connects to the Low Nine where the issue is facing, where people are being at risk living next to a project. People don't want to be next to a project that's going to create damage to their home.
Thank you. Candidate Willie Morgan.
Okay, thank you, Moderator Harden, for that question. As I stated earlier, I have recently had the opportunity to become a first-time home buyer here in District E. And ironically, the first home I looked at would have been right across the street from the grain train that will go through Lower 9 with on the train that they're bringing in to the port here off of Ellerbo, right? Many residents here in this area, in the Lower 9 area, have felt overseen with this project. It has not had a community engagement, and the community engagement means they have had residents have left with more questions than answers. That should not be. Any project that will directly affect people's daily lives should be involved with the people it will affect. I believe we need some type of community agreement when any project that the port will expand into someone's neighborhood. I believe the port provides quality jobs, good jobs. Recently, as I say in my job, I've had the opportunity to partner with the Port of New Orleans, where we had students go and do internships over the summer with the Port of New Orleans. So I do believe in the vision, but I do think we need to do stronger community agreements as we move forward.
Thank you. Candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Yes, one thing I would do, as mentioned earlier, is work with the younger crowd, particularly middle school and high school kids. Educate them as far as how the port works financially, and also how it impacts our base here in New Orleans East in the city. And also on a worldwide scale, we know that with the tariffs and everything going on in the world, shipping lanes have been changing. I recently read an article about that's been affecting the volume in the traffic in the Port of New Orleans. So on a external outlook, we can invite new business to come through the Port of New Orleans to ensure jobs, not just for us, but for our kids and their kids as well.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Bell.
We as a community right now is fighting the port with the drain. We trying to do a study to let the community know that dust that will come off that train, what effect it will have in our neighborhood. We already suffering stuff from the chemical plant from St. Bernard that land on our houses and our cars. With the port making decision before the community, we found out at the last minute about the drain. We fighting the drain, that the drain stopped. But also we asking right now that They do a quality of EPA to see exactly what this dust would do to people. We got pregnant women that when hear this could affect their child. We got kids that could get affected with sinus. We suffer a lot of sinus down here. That need to be studied. So the port needs to get the community involved first before making a decision. But then I hold the officials that know this before it get put down to the community. We have to hold them accountable.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Thank you, Attorney Harden. As we know, the Port of New Orleans is a vital economic engine, not only to our city, but our entire region. And I look at the Port of New Orleans as a vital partner. Now, when we talk about partnerships, that certainly works two ways. The Port of New Orleans completely missed the mark with the proposed grain terminal in the lower Ninth Ward. The level of disrespect that they have given to the residents of the lower Ninth Ward most certainly would not have been tolerated in Lakeview, Old Algiers, Audubon, or any other part of the city. And so it's unacceptable. And that's why I have strongly and consistently opposed the grain terminal project. When we look at the LIT project that they are proposing in St. Bernard Parish, that could actually be a game changer for District E, providing not only strong infrastructure improvements for District E, but also high-paying union jobs. I have always been a proponent of high-paying union jobs, and that's why I'm proud to be the only candidate in this race endorsed by the AFL-CIO. So look forward to a strong partnership with the port, but there must also be accountability, greater transparency, and communication with our residents.
Thank you. We're going to now switch gears to focus on the New Orleans East Hospital. The first question will go to candidate Cindy Nguyen. The hospital in New Orleans East continues to operate below full capacity, resulting in limited service availability and delayed emergency response. With over 156,000 residents in districts D and E and a need to serve neighboring communities, what are your concrete commitments to expand services at the New Orleans East Hospital, especially in light of federal health care cuts?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Monique. You know, I got involved with the New Orleans East Hospital way back when we were just talking about returning the hospital after Katrina. So I serve on the community advisory advocating to bring the New Orleans East Hospital to the East and also continue to help market the hospital to get people to invest into and come to the hospital. And I continue to do that as a council member for District E in 2018, looking at working with Dr. Davis and her team, looking at different strategy on how do we increase the revenue. I know that think maybe about when I was in office, we looked at data that there's a potential of good investment around labor and delivery. That large number of the labor delivery are from women that are in the East, you know, and so I will continue to be that voice. I still continue to use the New Orleans East Hospital for my service. I want to encourage all of our residents in District E to use our hospital so that way it continues to serve our people in District E.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Bell.
The hospital in the East play a big role into providing service to the East. It takes the load off the Universal Hospital in New Orleans, because if a person has an emergency and by the hospital there, they could get the person to the hospital quicker than trying to take the I-10, could have a breakdown and cause a person death. So we have to work good with the hospital to make sure the fund is there, and make sure to go through the city and go to the city council to make sure that's functional for the people. With the cuts of Medicaid coming down and sooner or later Medicare, we have to make sure that hospitals are operating to help the people, because if that closed down, you only got the Universal Hospital in New Orleans and Chalmette Hospital, but that take a while to get to that. So we have to work with the New Orleans Hospital to make sure they get the right funding and keep that hospital operating for the people in New Orleans East. That's a must. And the city council have to work with us to make sure the funds is constantly coming to the hospital.
Thank you. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Thank you for the question. New Orleans East deserve a full service hospital, not just in name, but in care. When it comes to cleanliness, when it comes to staff, when it comes to mental health services, when it comes to having a dedicated OBGYN on staff. So residents don't have to drive down to the city or go to Slidell like a prior candidate just said. I'll work with local and federal officials as well as the community to make sure this is a priority, especially since our campaign is focusing on mental health and overall health, full body health when it comes to families and youth. And I yield the floor.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Well, thank you, Attorney Harding. When we look at New Orleans East Hospital, it's certainly a beacon of hope, and it's a reminder of what can happen when our community comes together. I know a lot of politicians like to take credit for New Orleans East Hospital, but after Katrina, it was our community that came together that brought New Orleans East Hospital back online. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the board after Katrina and the 5 ladies in pearls that had to fight in court to really get that hospital back online. Let me not just talk about what I'll do for New Orleans East Hospital, but let me talk about what I've done. When I campaigned for the House of Representatives in 2019, New Orleans East Hospital was at the top of my priority list. I was proud to appropriate $4.6 million for the hospital to be able to expand services. And New Orleans East Hospital has just released a strategic plan where it will continue to strive to expand services, including mental health and behavioral health. But also, just this past legislative session, New Orleans East Hospital was on track to have a $12 million deficit. As many residents know, I brought Speaker of the House Philip DeVilliers to the district. We worked together and completely wiped out that deficit. New Orleans East Hospital will continue to be at the top of my priority list.
Thank you. Candidate Gavin Richard.
Thank you, Ms. Harden. Well, I believe it's the American College of Surgeons who defines hospitals as level 1 through 5 based off their trauma center and their capability. And New Orleans East Hospital, it's my definition, when it was reopened, formerly Methodist in 2012, it was a level 3 hospital, which was slightly below. Of course, your UMC is at the level 1, which is a trauma center. If you get into a car accident on the 510, you're going to have problems, especially getting there. So, and to be transported is a problem as well, especially another issue with our females, with our ladies, with the OBGYN. Initially, they didn't have a nursery to birth babies. That area, of course, we know the New Orleans East Hospital is a part of that area off of Lake Forest Boulevard, which I think could still be declared a cultural district. Again, getting monies to that hospital area through that. The other thing we're talking about also is we'll have to make this an effort to work with some of our state legislatures in order to get some appropriate funding for those, because that is a right.
Thank you. And last question goes to candidate, make sure I've got my notes right, Willie Morgan. All right.
Thank you. Can you repeat the question one more time for me, please?
Sure. With over 156,000 residents in districts D and E and the need to serve neighboring communities, what are your concrete commitments to expand services at the New Orleans East Hospital, especially in light of federal health care cuts?
Thank you, Ms. Harden, for that question. One, I feel it needs to be a critical care unit at New Orleans East Hospital. Many of the residents, if you talk with anyone in the area, they'll tell you that, hey, if you go there, they're just going to transport you to university. And we have to change that narrative. I recently went to New Orleans East Hospital for a procedure, and I received great care. So I want to thank Dr. Davis and all the first responders here in New Orleans East that provided those services. I just think that we have to work harder in our community to pull in our citizens. We have to leverage public and private partnerships. As they stated, we know that we have cuts coming down the pipeline, and we have to be prepared for those cuts. And I think that's partnering with local universities and high schools to make those families and students familiar with the hospital, so that we are bringing in more citizen into the hospital.
Thank you. Nathaniel Jones, candidate Nathaniel Jones?
Yes, Ms. Hart, one thing I would do to mitigate those Medicaid cuts by the big beautiful bill is get with the community and also get with everyone on this panel today and have a shopping center built. Once we get a perfect circumstance to build a shopping center, Ms. Harden, that will create tax revenue where we can diversify our hospital services. I would look at the Ochsner Foundation model, see how they're doing their things over there, and implement that towards New Orleans East. So we can mitigate the Medicaid cuts by keeping tax revenue in Orleans Parish to continue the services at the New Orleans East Hospital.
Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to co-moderator Kenya Smith.
Thank you so much. We're going to turn the page a little bit and talk about unity, something that I think we all should be able to agree on. Unity amongst organizations working in New Orleans East. Many local organizations have differing missions but shared goals. District E is no exception. Competition for scarce resources has often resulted in groups self-segregating and working in silos, often for those competing for those resources and duplicating efforts, with groups being pitted against one another. In 1 minute, can you explain what your approach as a leader in this area would be to ensuring inclusive collaboration across all New Orleans East organizations without favoritism? How will you respect different missions while still bringing everyone to the table? We'll begin that with candidate Willie Morgan.
Thank you, Moderator Smith, for that question. During my time at Orleans Parish Juvenile Court, I had the privilege to be the program director for Mello, and I mediated many altercations between our youth in New Orleans to make our streets safer. I did that work for many years. So mediating and working across the board to get different agencies and different partners to come together is right up my alley, right? I believe wholeheartedly that we have to come together if we want to move our district forward. That's organizations both here in the Lower Nine and New Orleans East, from Dowman to Vision Isles. We have to come together and figure it out. And I definitely feel my expertise in mediation and working with groups with different views, but I think we, at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. So I think we bring that same hard work and dedication I did there to this guy up here.
Thank you for that. We'll go next to candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Okay, I would say from an internal perspective, I would unite our young people, because the young people are the ones that are going to be carrying the torch for New Orleans East. We got to educate them. We can go to the local schools in the East, middle schools and high schools, to educate those upcoming students on what they can do to continue our future work in New Orleans East. And also from a political perspective, we all know that our knucklehead president is implementing the ICE agency. ICE is receiving $38 billion when the FBI only gets $10 billion. So he's going to be having his own personal police state. So we got to become cognizant of what's going on nationally so that we can definitely hold the fort here in New Orleans East and ensure our success.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Thank you, Attorney Smith. I think if you talk to any of our great organizations doing remarkable work in House District 100 over the past 6 years, I've had a phenomenal working relationship with all of them. I think if you go to the New Orleans East Business Association, New Orleans East Matters, Eno Knock, Friends of Joe Brown Park, or the Greater New Orleans East Business Alliance, they will all tell you that I have worked very well with them and certainly respect their missions and have helped and worked hand in hand with them to move our community forward. I do feel, though, at the end of the day, we are stronger together and we are better together. You know, we often talk about the accomplishments that are happening in Lakeview and other parts of our city. The reality is, when you take Lakeview, for example, they are speaking with one unified voice. I have a reputation in Baton Rouge of being a bridge builder and someone that brings people together. And as your city council person, I will certainly bring the work of all of our great groups and great leaders together in an effort to speak with one voice, because we all want to feel safe, we all want meaningful economic development, and we all want our residents to prosper.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Bell.
Yeah, this is up my alley because I belong to 6 organizations and we have a coalition and we have the pillars. As being a graduate from the police department, the FBI, American Legion, duty serving officer, let me tell you, it's take a coalition. And by being a certified EOC, an equal opportunity person, I was able to bring a lot of things through the coalition what's going on in the neighborhood. It's a village, and it take a lot of community people with organizations to come together. Now, we do have the coalition. We bring people together. We bring all of them together, and we discuss how to better our community and district. And we bring the ideas, but we bring the ideas of the people. We work for the people. We don't work for the politician. But I love being in the 6 organization I belongs to because I bring the ideas and tell them what the community need and what they want. So the coalition is the best thing to have.
Thank you. Candidate Gavin Richard.
All right. Thank you, Brother Smith. I would, as a candidate, well, first off, I think we all got to do as far as unity. We would have to do like the Michael Jackson video, Beat It, when he comes at the end and reunites the rival gangs into a dance-off. Not to say that all 6 businesses were going to have a dance-off on TikTok or anything like that. But I certainly can be a bridge builder and work with other people. I also think and remember part of my campaign and when I talked about a new blood, a new voice for a new generation, we need new ideas and younger people to also take up the mantle with some of these things. And I think that there are sometimes with some people that, especially some of our organizations, not all of them, that they may like to hold on, I guess, a little bit more to things. But it's the younger people that have to take up the mantle from the elders, from the generation. And I think we have to be open. The groups also are incumbent on them to have an open mind when we're dealing with other groups that you may not have in life. You all have to reunite on a common goal and what you want. And that's what I would do.
Oh, I think I froze for a moment. Sorry about that. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Mr. Smith, thank you for the question. So Ujima, Kiswahili term for unity. You share that with the collective here. In District E, we have people from all walks of life, real progress. We need to bring everyone to the table in order to make real progress. This means inclusion and collaboration. I'll hold regular town hall meetings, block meetings, listening sessions, not just during the campaign, but year round, bringing nonprofits, schools, small businesses, churches to the table. I believe everyone's voice should be heard, especially our youth. We build in a world, we build in a district for the people that's gonna come after us. The ones that are not born yet, the ones that are not walking yet, the ones whose voices cannot be heard yet. So with every decision we make, we need to bring as many people to the table as possible to make sure that it's collaborative in the spirit of Umoja unity.
Thank you. Candidate Cindy Nguyen.
The work cannot be done by one person. I believe in coalition building. I believe in unity. I believe in working together. When we work together, we're stronger than ever. I know that we have buku of groups in our district that want the same common thing, best quality district for our community. And I know that when we were in office, I made an intentional effort to make sure that I'm engaging with all groups and respecting everybody's mission. But I really believe that all of our mission is to make District E a better place. Sometimes we just take different journeys. But one thing, Kenya, what I saw, and I remember when COVID-19 happened, March of 2020, and when that happened, the community came together and started helping each other, started making sure that families that needed access to resources got resources. So the past 3.5 years being out of office, I've done a lot of reflection and a lot of like, hey, how can I be a better person? How can I be a better council member? Thank you.
Thank you. A minute goes really quickly. All right. Speaking of speed, we're going to enter our rapid fire round. We're going to have a series of yes or no questions. No explanations will be needed, no clarifications, and we ask please no additional comments during this segment. We'll rotate through the candidates quickly to try to ensure fairness and to keep the pace. Please unmute when your name is called and respond promptly. If time permits, candidates may be asked to elaborate on one of their answers later in the forum, but not necessarily during this round. The first question, and this is a yes or no, do you support the proposed grain terminal project in the Holy Cross neighborhood? Let's start with Mr. Gavin Richard.
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay, Mr. Jonathan Anthony Roberts, yes or no?
No.
Okay, candidate Cindy Nguyen, yes or no?
No.
Candidate Willie Morgan, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Candidate Nathaniel Jones, yes or no?
No.
Candidate Jason Hughes, yes or no?
No.
Candidate Richard Bell, yes or no?
No.
Thank you all. All right, next question. Pedestrian bridges in the east. Do you support pedestrian bridges that are being proposed across I-10 in New Orleans East between neighborhoods? Let's start with candidate Richard Bell, yes or no? Candidate Bell?
No. No.
Okay, candidate Jason Hughes, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Candidate Nathaniel Jones, yes or no? I'm sorry?
No.
Thank you. Candidate Willie Morgan, yes or no?
No.
Candidate Cindy Nguyen, yes or no?
No.
Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts, yes or no?
No.
Candidate Gavin Richard, yes or no?
No.
Thank you. All right. The I-10, speaking of the I-10 corridor, many of the neighborhoods in New Orleans East are adjacent to the I-10 corridor, and the city as a whole faces serious environmental and public health challenges, including excessive litter, overflowing trash along these corridors, cancer rates above the national average, and ongoing impacts of climate change. Yet enforcement and proactive policies have been limited. If elected, will you support policies that make New Orleans a more environmentally sustainable and cleaner city, such as holding businesses accountable for the trash around their locations, implementing a bag fee to fund corridor cleanup, and advancing legislation to ban plastic Mardi Gras throws and styrofoam in food service, even if those policies face initial resistance? Candidate Richard Bell, yes or no?
Yes.
Candidate Jason Hughes, yes or no?
That's not a yes or no question. I support some of what you stated and I oppose other parts, and I'm happy to elaborate at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Candidate Nathaniel Jones, yes or no?
Yes.
Candidate Willie Morgan, yes or no?
Yes.
Candidate Cindy Nguyen, yes or no?
Kenya, most of it is yes, but I definitely want to understand more about the fee and how that works.
Thank you. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts, yes or no?
Yes.
Candidate Gavin Richard, yes or no?
Brother Kenya, I would need to know more information before I could give a yes or no. That requires more elaboration on it.
Thank you. All right, last for this part of this round, involving the 7th District and police protection. Are you committed to advocating for and working with the mayor to ensure that 7th District police services in New Orleans East are expanded by establishing and staffing a 20 with officers permanently assigned to it and increasing presence through patrols in underserved areas, including Village de l'Est, Venetian Isles, Michoud, and Lake Catherine. Candidate Gavin Richard, yes or no?
That would require a little bit more elaboration on that. You could be a mixed bag on that one. So I'll have to not abstain.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Jonathan Anthony Roberts, yes or no?
I can't answer without community involvement.
Thank you. Candidate Cindy Nguyen, yes or no?
Yeah, Kenya, definitely it's a yes, but I just need to understand in reference to manpower, because I know that we have a shortage of manpower. So I don't want to make any false promises, but definitely work toward having more police present for sure.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Willie Morgan, yes or no?
I apologize. I think it's my connection. I lost the middle part of the question. I heard beginning and end. I didn't hear the middle.
The middle, once again, are you committed to advocating and working with the mayor regarding expanding 7th District Police Services with a 24-hour substation, officers permanently assigned, and increasing presence in areas like Village de l'Est, Venetian Isles, Michoud, and Lake Catherine? Is that a commitment you can make?
I want to say yes, but I definitely think it would be some more research to go into that to see how that can be done effectively.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Nathaniel Jones, yes or no?
Yes, I would definitely support it. For Little Woods as well.
All right, thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes, yes or no?
Yes, but Attorney Smith, that answer definitely deserves more elaboration.
Thank you. And candidate Richard Bell, yes or no?
A big yes.
Thank you. Thank you all for your cooperation in that. Co-moderator Harden, I'll turn it back over to you.
I give him the hard questions to ask you guys. So we've spent a lot of time together, and we're coming to the last question for this evening. And I just want to thank you all for showing up and really giving us very thoughtful responses to these questions. So for the last question, we're really going to focus in on you, your completed accomplishments, not promises. So voters are asking leaders who not only plan, but to deliver. Here's the question. Which is one initiative or project that you successfully completed within the last year that directly benefited an underserved community? Please be specific. Again, no in progress items. And we're going to start with you, candidate Nathaniel Jones.
Okay, last year I had a Big Easy talent show where I invited 6 musicians locally, high school students, guitar, trumpet, drum, and I paid them $1,000 each for the performance. And I think being in New Orleans, we have to gear our students towards the arts and the music. So that's one accomplishment. I was blessed to work with those 6 students in the Big Easy Talent Show. And also, I'm currently working on designing preliminary blueprints for a shopping mall, but that is still currently in process.
Candidate Willie Morgan.
Thank you, Moderator Horton. In response, as someone that's a current educator, a former director at Orleans Parish Juvenile Court, the Mellow Program, a director for the Youth Initiative nonprofit, I have had extensive work working with the youth here in District E. I just will continue that work. I've worked on many initiatives. When many of the programs I expanded mentor service hours at juvenile when I was at juvenile court, I expanded into weekend hours, often on my own time, to provide the services that our kids need. As someone, unfortunately, that had to attend funerals of our most vulnerable, and that's our youth due to violence, I know firsthand how important it is to make sure that we're reaching them where they are. And I have done that for the past 13 years, and that's what I will continue to do.
Thank you. Candidate Jason Hughes.
Thank you, Attorney Harden. You know, obviously, as a proud product of Nord and Goretti Park, which directly uplifted my life and played such a great role. I heard from so many of our coaches and our parents and our youth that they did not have basic equipment like footballs and basketballs and money for uniforms. And I was tired of seeing our babies shaking cans on street corners. I thought that was very dangerous. So I was proud and I appropriate $250,000 for our New Orleans East Parks, but also the Lower Ninth Ward, even though I don't represent that community as a member for House District 100, to provide uniforms and equipment for our coaches and players at our Nord facilities. In this legislative session, I was proud to appropriate an additional $600,000 for youth initiatives in House District 100.
Thank you. Candidate Richard Bell.
Well, I was able to help to get the bus line that I couldn't get the officials to help. So I took the initiative to go to RTA, and right now I'm on the board for the RTA riders. We made the bus line came into action for the elderly, for St. Maurice Villa, because my love for the elderly. But that bus line now run all the way to Nunez College. So when I see that bus line when I'm traveling and seeing that line caused because I took the initiative as a citizen to do what the politician should have did at that time and got it working. This year, I was able to help 15 veterans get their claims through VA, including myself, went from 0 to 90%. And also, I was able to bury 5 of my veterans without a charge. I'm a preacher, don't charge for nothing. I do everything out the love in my heart.
Thank you. Candidate Cindy Wynn.
Yes, so when I was in office, we launched and brought back the parade, Jingle on the Boulevard for Holiday Parade, first in the East, and also the Mardi Gras Parade, Crew of Nefertiti. Even though I'm not in office, those parades continue to exist in our community. So I continue to foster support for those parades because I believe in the district. In addition to that, for the past 3.5 years, I've been supporting Give and Hope. Give and Hope Food Pantry helped supported our community during crisis. And so I want to make sure that we continue to be a true partner. But ultimately, I chair the New Orleans East Rotary Club. This is, as you guys know, Rotarians are service before self. And when Norman Robinson called me and asked me to lead this task, I was very honored to do that because I've always been a service to the community and I will continue to serve the community and show up for the community all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Gavin Richard.
Yes. Well, one of the accomplishments that I did, I worked exclusively with, I'm a member of 100 Black Men of Metro New Orleans, and we do a lot of work, not just in all across the New Orleans area, not just limited to District 8, but one thing we did and I was able to facilitate was a toy drive. I worked with Pastor Troy Lawrence out in the Lower Ninth Ward. His church just celebrated their anniversary. Shout out to them. And we did a toy drive for kids. And that was a great accomplishment I was happy to be a part of. Also helping to promote businesses out here in District E, like at The Verdict, we promoted several comedy shows to bring, which brought plenty of visitors there to The Verdict, which shout out to Malika Honore and her restaurant and her staff. So those are some things, accomplishments that I'm happy that I've done and I will continue to do.
Thank you. And Jonathan Anthony Roberts.
Thank you. This part touched home for me. So what I have done in the past year for our youth. We don't get to choose who look up to us as mentors, and I'm appreciative of that. And I'll say I've mentored several families and youth throughout the community in the past 8 years that I've been here. I've helped with teaching resume building. I'm a certified personal trainer. I help with implementing fitness camps. I teach civic duty and civic education training. At a recent New Orleans East Matters meeting, just sharing information of how early our youth can become voters or can be registered to vote. Sharing information like that. Being a Marine, I volunteer for Toys for Tots. I do several Toys for Tots events. And last but not least, in today's technology age, I think it's very important that we teach our young folk how to do prompt generation and business creation using the new AI skills that are available to them.
Thank you. Well, that concludes the question part of the forum. I want to, on behalf of voters east of the Industrial Canal, thank each and every one of you for giving of your time and participating in this forum, sharing your vision, your accomplishments, your concerns, your positions on issues that are of concern to voters here in District D in particular. I want to turn it over to our chair, Dawn Hebert, to close us out.
Thank you so much, Monique, and I want to say ditto to what she just said to all of y'all candidates, because it's like I say, running for office is very important, and you will be busy for maybe 2 months coming up. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come to this particular forum. Now, Corinne has a message, or Corinne, do you have something you want to say at this point?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I know I wasn't on camera earlier, but I had to come on camera just to say this. And I want to thank you all and welcome you all. And I echo Dawn and Monique about this. And I want to thank Kenya. You guys did an amazing job. This was a great forum. We did have good attendance. I want to announce that we had at one time we had around 130 people viewing live, which is great. It's amazing. But one of the things that the reason why I want to come on here is to make sure that we're clear on how we ask questions. I just want to make sure everybody know how the questions. Our organization do not develop our own questions. We solicit questions through the community. So if the questions appear to be one-sided more towards the east than the lower Ninth Ward or the other parts of District E, that is by way the questions came in from the community. We solicited questions and we gave a deadline on the 20th. I know the yes or no questions was a bit of a challenge, but the problems we received so many questions that we were trying to make sure that the residents that did submit questions and the citizens who did submit questions, that we were trying to accommodate them so that they can hear their concerns in this forum today. So I apologize that you were not allowed to elaborate on those yes or no questions, but that's why those questions were there, because we felt that they were important and that we want the community to also know that they are important and that they can continue to submit questions when we do these forums moving forward. As we said early on, this is how we have always done it since 2011. And for the viewers who are new to Voters East of the Industrial Canal and you're not just becoming aware of who we are, I ask that you follow us on Facebook. I put the link in the YouTube channel so that when we come up on the next round of forums, you'll know when there's an opportunity for you to submit your questions to us as an organization to ask to the candidates during forums. We are not accepting any more questions at this time. It closed on the 20th. If we don't close it, we'll have a lot of questions. And we have to filter those and make sure that they're ready to read and position as questions, right? So just for the future, they may be a runoff, they may not be a runoff for any of these elections. We will host those forums as well. So make sure that you be on the lookout for those emails, be on the lookout on our social media so that you'll know when you're allowed to, when those questions are being solicited for the forums. Now I'm going to turn it back over to our chair, Dawn Hebert. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Corinne, for those updates and more information. So again, I want to thank y'all. It's been a long night. Y'all hung in there. I appreciate it. And I especially want to thank our moderators, Attorney Kenya Smith and Attorney Monique Horton. Thank you for working with us and participating in these forums. So now I want to introduce Shawan Bernard for announcements on the poll results and on key dates for the upcoming forums in the election. Shawan?
Thank you, Dawn. And thank you to the candidates. You all did, I think, a great job tonight in dropping some nuggets, and we're looking forward to seeing you out in the public. And for our viewers who are especially joining us via YouTube, we want to remind you that Election Day is October the 11th. There are a few ways that you can vote. Remember, you can vote in person on October 11th, and early voting starts on September 27th through October 4th, and it excludes Sunday. And the next slide. The key dates that we hope that you would remember is that if you have not registered to vote, make sure that if you're doing a paper ballot, you can do that up until September 10th. And online through the Go Vote app, that registration application is available until September 20th, 2025. And there are deadlines. The third way that you can cast your vote is through absentee ballots. You can request that ballot up until October 7th, and it needs to be received by the Register Voters Office on October the 10th. Next slide. In order to qualify, there are a number of ways that you can ask for a request an absentee ballot. As a reminder, if you are a senior citizen of the age of 65, if you're a voter with disability, if you're a student who will be out of the parish on election day, if you're serving in the military overseas, if you are temporarily away from the city on election day, in Louisiana, you're allowed to vote absentee. If you're clergy, if you're incarcerated without having a conviction of a felony, and also if you're doing jury duty in the hospital or any other emergency state, there's an opportunity in Louisiana to vote absentee. So there's no reason not to vote in this election on October the 11th. And again, the Register Voters Office is located at City Hall on the first floor, or you can go online to go vote, GEAUXvote.com is how you can register and request your absentee ballots. And we are not finished. We have some additional forms coming up. Wednesday, tomorrow, we will have City Council District Division 1 and 2. And on Thursday, we'll close out our series of forums with the sheriffs and the assessors. We invite you to join us for those forms, and also to continue to look at our results on YouTube. So Corinne is going to put up the data results from tonight, the polling that we'll share.
Okay, I want to make sure everyone is clear that this is not a poll on who people are going to vote for in this election. This is based on your performance and how you responded to the questions tonight. Okay. Okay, sure.
All right, thank you, Corinne. So based upon those results, let's see. This is a pie chart. It just speaks to, it says which candidate made the strongest case for leadership in District E, and the attendees who engaged in this polling. Those are their results. And the next question speaks to which candidate do you feel best understands the needs of Community East in the Industrial Canal. And again, this is the result that's given in a pie chart by candidates. And I'm not quite sure, and the numbers are on it, so if you want to go back and do an analysis, the number of votes are on it, or responses are on it, I should say. And this is a bar chart that speaks to how efficiently did each candidate answer the form questions, and the participants who observed rated candidates based on each question from a scale of 0 to 5. And that's the results that you could view. And the last question, I believe, is please rate each candidate's overall performance in tonight's forum. And again, the bar chart, and I would just say that as a participant and a resident of New Orleans East, I think we have a great group of candidates who have put themselves out there, and for us to continue to vet and make a good choice for our district. So again, thank you for participating. Oh, I'm sorry, Corinne, there's one more question, candidates. Does the forum help make, change, or strengthen your voting decisions tonight? And again, just as I have said, the candidates or the viewers also indicated that you all have made an impact on them. And again, we're looking forward to seeing you more for the next 6 or 7 weeks. So again, thank you for participating. and sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
And
Uh,
Dawn?
Thank you.
Excuse me, may I add to your voter information that you guys had posted earlier?
What is that?
If I'll put my hand down, I raised my hand earlier. When you did the civic duty part, when you talked about voting, early voting, I'm a real big advocate about our youth being registered to vote. So one thing, at the age of 16 and 17, our youth can get
So,
registered to vote.
Mr. Roberts, since you are a candidate, I don't want to be rude. We appreciate that, but if I allow you, then I would have to allow others to speak. So we have to be fair. So,
Understood.
if there was something that a point of clarification to the dates or contact information, then we could have clarified that. But we can't. We got to be fair. So
Understood.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, Dawn, you have any last words before we close out? And committee, can you please stay behind for a debrief?
No, that's it. So now everybody could go rest. And like, again, I want to appreciate the fact that you came on into our forum. Thank you. Because District E, the election is extremely important for this district. So like I said, whoever wins, we need your help. Okay. All right.